Over the past weekend, former President Donald Trump's public appearances in North Carolina and Virginia have once again sparked discussions about his observable cognitive decline and potential early onset dementia.
In Venezuela, did you just see Maduro? Venezuela, it's unbelievable. We're getting rid of the Romneys of the world. We want to get Romneys and those out. But they know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones. This is the greatest movement in the history of our country, maybe in the history of any country. Even Argentina, they went MAGA. You know Argentina, great guy. He's a big Trump guy. He loves Trump. I love him because he loves Trump. When he called, I took his call. Anybody that loves me, I like them. I said, Abdul, he's still there. He's the head of the Taliban. He said, you're killing our soldiers. Don't do it anymore because terror will rain down on you. And he called you, yes, Your Highness. He called me Your Highness, which is interesting. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
What?
These recent gaffes in Trump's speeches have only added to the existing concerns raised by various media outlets regarding his mental state. Today, voices from shows like Morning Joe and other pundits have joined the chorus in pointing out the apparent signs of decline in Trump's verbal communication.
I don't even... What happened? What happened there? Charlie Sykes, we see it more and more. He gets in the middle of sentences. He's reading teleprompters and his mind still blanks out. Nikki Haley for Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama for Joe Biden. And it's just so pathetic and sad. They're going, no, he's doing it on purpose. No, he's not doing it on purpose. He's not doing any of this stuff on purpose. And so you take the fact that his mind blanks out and he looks lost. It looks like a sad scene to me to see somebody up on stage and blanking out and getting lost. But then you have a guy, first of all, he thinks the person who runs the South American country's name is Argentina. Argentina, great guy. And thank you for saying get rid of the Romneys in the Republican Party. That is torn out of Carrie Lake's book of loserdom. That's where it'll lead you. But also, again, against all this madness and unfortunately an old man who is losing his ability to communicate. He's praising the Taliban leader for calling him Your Highness. I mean, tell us, wrap up that speech for us, if you would, Charlie Sykes. How do you?
Well, what fresh hell. Unfortunately, I'm not a psychiatrist here. What's on display is that, okay, Joe Biden is old, but the other guy is deranged, demented, and pathetic, as you point out, not to mention dangerous.
While the issue of Trump's mental health is not new, the frequency of these lapses in his public addresses during the campaign trail has been notably on the rise in recent months.
Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, whatever they want. They turned it down. They don't want to talk about that.
The 45th president has slipped up a couple of times in recent days. When he was addressing Republicans in Washington, he misspoke and said Obama when he meant Biden. And then there was this.
And we have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
Despite the Trump campaign's staunch denial of any cognitive decline, and with Trump himself citing his high performance on a cognitive test as evidence to the contrary, doubts persist.
I said to the doctor, it was Dr. Ronnie Jackson, I said, is there some kind of a test, an acuity test? And he said there actually is, and he named it, whatever it might be. And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
I took the test too when I heard that you passed it.
Yeah, how did you do it?
Well, it's not the hardest test.
No, but
there's a picture and it says, what's that? And it's an elephant.
No. You see, that's all misrepresentation.
Well, that's what it was on the web.
It's all misrepresentation. Because, yes, the first few questions are easy, but I'll bet you couldn't even answer the last 5 questions. I'll bet you couldn't. They get very hard, the last 5 questions.
Well, one of them was count back from 100 by 7.
And let me tell you,
93.
you couldn't answer.
All right, what's the question?
Many of the questions. I'd get you the test. I'd like to.
Recent investigations into Trump's cognitive abilities have yielded concerning results. A volunteer test subject undergoing the same cognitive assessment that Trump boasted about passing with flying colors showcased that the test itself may not be as challenging as Trump claims.
Spoke on Fox News last night, talking in greater detail than ever before about the cognitive test he says he passed with flying colors. But what's it really like to take the test? Who better to find out than a man who's the same age as Trump? Stephen Fabian tells us how he did.
The president can't seem to stop talking about that cognitive test he recently took.
It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
He did it again last night on Fox News. This is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test, which is easily accessible on the internet. Sheldon, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. First question. Please draw a line going from a number to a letter in ascending order. Draw a clock, put in all the numbers, and set the time to 10 past 11. Tell me the name of this animal.
Lion.
Tell me the name of this animal.
Rhinoceros.
Tell me the name of this animal.
Camel.
I read some words to you earlier. Tell me as many of those words as you can remember.
Face, velvet, church, daisy, red.
You nailed all the words.
I knew I would.
Thea Gallagher is a clinical psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania.
This is a test that you should pass unless you have some form of mild to moderate cognitive dysfunction.
What was your assessment? What did you think of the test? Was it difficult? Was it easy?
I thought it was really easy.
Media outlets and medical experts have converged in a shared observation, asserting that a discernible decline in cognitive sharpness is evident in Donald Trump over the years. Through careful observation, they contend that the former president's cognitive acuity appears to have diminished compared to previous years.
Do you think wealth corrupts?
It certainly can corrupt.
There are two things in life, love and work. If you had to choose one, if it was a life and death situation, which one would you choose?
I would probably choose love.
You would?
I think so, yes.
Despite the fact that you spend all your time working, achieving, creating.
The happiest people tend to be the people that are making a nice income, that really enjoy their life and their family life, and not the people of tremendous wealth that are constantly driven to achieve more and more success. You're expected to be a certain kind of a person, and maybe you're not necessarily cut out to be that kind of a person.
Medical professionals and experts have weighed in on the discussion surrounding early onset dementia with Dr. John Gartner, author of The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assess a president, shedding light on the signs and risks associated with this condition.
You on a while ago, I don't want to totally retread the perspective you have on the ethics of making these assessments. People like to bring up the Goldwater rule, etc. But as we get into this, can you just give us the framework for people to understand the context in which you're making these comments? Neither Trump nor Biden are people you've personally examined in any way.
Sure. No, absolutely. And actually, I've interviewed a lot of experts in this field, but one of the things they tell me is in clinical practice, most of this diagnosis is made by observation and by just talking to significant others. It's really not as much a clinical interview. And there's other things we use as well that we obviously don't have here, MRIs and neuropsychiatric evaluation. But what we are seeing is a lot of clinical symptoms that we know something about. Even actually, a lot of the average people know a lot about these symptoms because they've had people in their family who've had dementia. The things that Joe Biden is evidencing are things that I evidence. He's been mixed up people's names and mixed up dates. That's pretty much been the gist of it. Well, you want to talk about memory. The kind of memory problems that Trump is showing are clear signs of dementia. The Dementia Care Society said that when people have dementia, they begin to confuse people and generations. Not names and dates, people and generations.
So talk a little bit about the difference. So, and with regard to Joe Biden, talk about that relative to what you observed with Trump.
Well, actually, some of these sort of nonverbal things are a little bit hard to characterize. But again, you're talking about the wrong name, the wrong date. I can call my younger daughter, my older daughter's name. Trump actually, on some days, thinks he's running against Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama. And I'm not saying that to be funny. 7 times he's running against Barack Obama. Okay, that's not a slip or that he's joking. And by the way, when you look at these clips, he doesn't look like he's joking, because one sign of cognitive decline is a lack of awareness that you have cognitive decline. When you are making these mistakes, you don't correct yourself because you're not aware you've made a mistake.
Is there something that is being said in the media about either Biden or Trump that you think is flat out inaccurate?
Being gaslit again, okay, by a kind of whataboutism. The narrative in the media, 2 old men are running for president. Is either of them really up to it? But what I'm saying is we're not making the differential diagnosis between an aging brain and a dementing brain. There's a big difference. Trump is showing the kind of confusion, not just of memory, but of language. He's showing a basic breakdown. And this is what all of the experts are telling me.
While some staunch Trump supporters and Fox News adamantly oppose allegations of cognitive decline, labeling them as baseless attacks, the stark contrast in Trump and Biden's recent public appearances raise eyebrows. Biden's occasional slip-ups are seen as part of a normal aging, while Trump's verbal challenges are viewed as potential indicators of dementia.
Of what we saw in 2020. And there's a lot of concerns actually that I've seen now recently with Donald Trump on the stuff.
You cannot compare the two.
Absolutely. Tonight he said he won New Hampshire in the general election. He lost it to Hillary Clinton, lost it to Joe Biden by 7 points.
You
right?
cannot compare the two.
Haley, he mixed up Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi for minutes on end in his speech. Back to it. So there are a lot of verbal miscues. There's a lot of gaps between these 2 men.
2/3 of the American people think that President Biden is too old. They do not say that about Donald Trump. So you can say this, you can make this argument, you can spew the DNC talking points.
It's not as high as Joe Biden, but a majority of people feel the same way about it.
This is called projection. We know that age is a vulnerability for the president. We have fresh sound bites every single week. We could fill the entirety of this hour. Take me off. I'll go into the other room. We could fill the entirety of the hour with stumbles and fumbles and mishaps. And we knew the second that Donald Trump became the presumptive nominee, you guys would flip it and try to press age upon President Trump. But the problem is 2/3 of the American people say Biden is too old. He doesn't have mental acuity. And it's the exact converse when it comes to President Trump. People see a former strong executive. They'll make the decision ultimately. But I mean, just good luck with the projection.
Biden is a cognitive mess. You agree?
No.
You don't agree with that?
No.
Not at all.
No, I certainly think that he has slowed down from 2020.
Just slowed down a little.
Yeah. You want to talk? You want to talk cognitive decline? Yeah, I brought my own montage.
Nikki Haley mixed up with Nancy Pelosi, speak for 5 hours straight without making a mistake.
Just rambling is not speaking for 5 hours straight, including things like, look what happens when I put magnets in water, and when I beat Obama in 2016. No, I don't sound like fake Jackie. I sound like real Jessica Tarla, and it's not a small thing. If Joe Biden had confused Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi, so they have in common the first letter of their names and that they're both a woman.
He has not had an incident-free speech or appearance where
He did, actually.
I think he's talking about Trump here, isn't he?
His January 6th speech.
Or
hide him
somebody has
from the
to
press.
escort him stage left or stage right because he has no clue where to go.
They hide him from the press. They don't let him speak to reporters. They keep him on a very short leash for a reason. And that's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with when it comes to the nominee.
If you guys think that people are sitting at home and watching Donald Trump talk about Joe Biden's going to get us into World War II, or I need an ID to buy a loaf of bread, or that we're going to intentional. I'm trying to throw you off the scent. The man is bragging about passing a test
let me throw this
that you need to pass when you have brain damage.
Coupled with mounting legal troubles, including 91 indictments and speculations about authoritarian tendencies, concerns have been heightened regarding the prospects of a second Trump presidency. The growing unease stemming from Trump's cognitive state and rhetoric has left many pondering the implications of another term under his leadership. As the debates surrounding Trump's mental acuity continue to unfold, the spotlight on the presidential contender's health and fitness for office remains a key focal point in the upcoming political landscape.
Trump tells us he wants to emulate Vladimir Putin. And in that, we see what life could be like. We see a world in which Trump would like to eliminate his opposition. He'd like to imprison them, poison them, potentially murder them. Mass deportation. We saw that play out in regards to Russia. And what I fear and what I frankly desperately hope doesn't happen is that we don't have to have our population come out in thousands or tens of thousands to protest against barbarism in the United States.
He is the gravest threat to our democracy in our history.
And the final point I'll make is, look, Joe Biden got us out of Afghanistan. Donald Trump talked about getting us out of Afghanistan. Joe Biden actually did it. I think the world would be a much more dangerous, chaotic place with Trump back in the White House.